to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the Pulse of Fresco Nation, brought to you by X-Cancer. Check them out at xcancer.com. Before we dive into this interview, I want to give a quick shout out to all the people who've reached out to me. I posted on social media, Facebook and Twitter, that the heart wasn't quite right since March. We have a plan going forward that I'm finally comfortable with, but I wanted to give a shout out, and I appreciate everyone who's reached out since I posted that a few days ago. But today I got a special guest. I am joined by former Husker and all Big Ten performer, Mr. Garrett Nelson. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing glorious. So I'm just going to kick it right off the top. Let's light this candle. The decision to go to the NFL. Well, obviously there was pros, there was cons, there's things you were weighing. How did you arrive at the decision to go to the NFL this year?
Yeah, that's a massive life-changing decision. And, making that at 22 years old is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially being a Nebraska kid and how much I love that place and the people. And, obviously you were there with your teammates and, how much those guys mean to you. And, those are your best friends for life. So kind of making that decision was daunting. I didn't sleep for several weeks and several days. And, I was asking a bunch of current NFL players that were former Huskers about the decision, talking to my parents and just kind of getting as much information and as much advice, I guess you could say, as I could from people that I trusted and, had my best interest in mind. But really, they all kind of ended with one thing. And, they said that decision is up to me. You can talk to as many people as you want, but I personally have to live with the decision. And, hearing that several times, I kind of had to start to break down what I value as a person and, what would be the best decision, I guess, for my career trajectory and, the current situation with Nebraska and just where I was at. And, so broke that down, had like you said, pros and cons for both things and being able to stomach the cons as well as the pros if, either decision I made. It came out for me to go into the NFL and being able to stomach some, like I said, those cons, but the pros outweighed them, and thought it'd be a smart decision for me. And I told all my guys and told my best friends, and it wasn't easy, and kind of letting go of that part of my life and moving on to the next. But really exciting times ahead. I mean, I'm really pumped to be training and doing this, and I'm excited for what's ahead.
I assume you had some conversations with Matt Rule or Tony White, the new defensive coordinator. If you did, share with us anything you'd be comfortable with sharing from those conversations. And did the style of defense that Nebraska is going to be playing going forward, did that sway you one way or another?
Yeah, definitely. Talked to Coach Rule a ton about just what my future on the team would be, what I would do or what he would do for me. And, just kind of those business decisions moving forward. And then from there, we built that relationship and built that respect. And, off of those conversations, he helped me a ton through the process of getting, answers one way or the other, helping me in certain decisions. And awesome guy, and total respect and really appreciate him for what he, told me and the conversations we had. And I was just kind of waiting on Coach White to, when Coach White got hired and seeing the defensive scheme that he ran, and when he got to campus and having conversations with him of where he sees me fitting in the defense and, with that 3-2-5 and, what packages he would have me in and how he would, feature me and premiere me as a player to, hopefully, improve my draft stock. And if I did come back, because that was a major thing, coming back, there's only two guarantees. I'd be a year older and I'd be less healthy than I am right now. And, I wouldn't get to that second contract a year older. And that starts to factor into how long your contract is and, how much money you do get. And so just kind of weighing those things and, how that would benefit me if I stayed and played in that defense and, got those answers and had those conversations and made that decision to leave.
Out of curiosity, where were they going to, if you would have stayed? Obviously, you made the decision to go to the NFL. the contract, getting to the second contract, being a year younger, the longevity of a NFL career is short, the longevity of a football player's career is short. All those things factored in. But out of curiosity, where did they see you fitting in had you stayed in the 3-3-5 defense?
They saw me as a true, not a rush end. They saw me as a true defensive end playing, 3-4-I 5, 4'5". Not really being premiered on the edge, rushing, and that would be my position at the next level. And kind of where I was at the later half of last year, playing a little bit more interiorly in the sense of 4'I 5, not being a true 5 to 9 edge rusher, and being featured in third down packages and manufacturing sacks. I would be more of a hand the dirt 4'I 5 in that odd front. Just kind of letting those backside linebackers overlap and run and make plays. So just kind of that decision was made that I don't think it would, benefit me as much, or it would stay the same if I stayed or if I didn't stay. So just kind of made that decision based off of those facts, and
okay.
decided to head out.
Okay, where are you training for the NFL draft at? And what's a typical daily workout or weekly schedule? What's a typical weekly routine like for you now, and where are you training for the draft at?
I'm training at X3 in Fort Myers, Florida right now, which is a little bit warmer than Nebraska right now, which is nice. But it's a typical weekly schedule. So Monday today we did max velocity. So we were training that 10-yard split into the next 10 yards into the 40, doing another thing. We did broad jumps and plyometrics, getting that springiness and explosiveness. And then, so we would do that in the morning, and then we'd have a little break for lunch. And then we'd go into our lift, and we would lift for probably an hour and a half, again, with that explosiveness in mind, and training that springiness and twitchiness. And then we would do interview prep, and we would start the interview prep after the lift, do that until probably, I'd say 4 or 5 at night. And then that would be the day, and you come home and you probably eat, 2 dinners. And then the next day it's change of direction for 3-cone and pro agility. And then, they'd probably have a lift. You wouldn't have a lift, and you would do position work with your position coach during combine drills, pro day drills, just overall drills as a pass rusher to, with your ankles and hips and knees, and doing those drills so you have them rep for the combine and for pro day. So you do that. You just switch days from max velocity to change of direction. You would have a lift every 3 or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You have yoga and mobility in between that, as well as lunch and interview prep and film work and position work. And so it's pretty much a 9 to 5 to 6, and then you're done after about 5 or 6 some days, and you go home and rest up and get ready for it again.
That sounds about how it was 15 years ago. It hasn't changed too much. It was essentially kind of like 2-a-days, things varying, and then you had Saturday morning, and then you had Saturday afternoon to Monday morning off. Sounds like it's kind of similar. Do me a favor. Tell your position coach, my former teammate at the Commanders, okay, now they're called the Commanders in D.C., tell him I'm stronger than he is. That will infuriate him to no end. We had so many debates about who was stronger. I guarantee he will flip his lid. Tell Philip Daniels I said hi. All right, a couple more questions.
Yeah, he's, by the way, he is a massive individual.
Oh, he is.
He's probably, it's insane. He was watching us lift, and he looks like he was chomping at the bit to hop down a rack with us. And so I could see how those debates would get heated.
If you get a chance, go on YouTube, type in Philip Daniels squat, and I think it's 722 if I remember right, all these years later, and he makes it look kind of easy. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, a couple more questions. Have your agents shared any teams that have showed any interest? We're early on here, obviously. A lot of time, months ahead of you before the draft. But have your agents shared any teams that might have interest in you at this point, and or what round they think you might get drafted at all?
So with the interview prep they think that I'm a good fit for 10 or 11 teams. I'm sure that's pretty normal for, as a representative, to tell you that you're a good fit for teams that, one, schematically, and also just who you are as a person. But nothing nothing to the best I got today was, we would love to get you around the Patriots organization because you think they'd fit their culture. And that's probably the most extent that I've heard. And, then John Guy today that helps me do the interview prep, he was saying, keep your phone open. You might be getting some calls from scouts just to kind of fill in some blanks if they don't have all the information on you already, but nothing yet. But yeah, so you're still waiting on those phone calls.
Well, that's awesome. Like I said, you're early on, a lot of time ahead of you. What's been the most challenging? I texted you the most challenging part for me was eating healthy. Yeah. What's been the most challenging part for you? And is your offensive lineman roommate still taunting you with the food that he's eating? Because apparently he's not eating as healthy, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's just something he jokes about me. He's like, he goes, man, it must suck for you to eat all this healthy food all the time and not have, not be able to have like a blizzard or something. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's that's not the toughest part though. But I mean, I guess just mentally, you're competing for a spot. Some of the best guys in the world at what they do, and just trying not to build that up too much in your head. Understanding that you're worthy of where you're at. There's a reason why you're here. Not being intimidated by this whole journey and process, and how daunting, I guess, interviewing with all these teams and trying to get be a professional athlete and get a job. That's the biggest thing. And, just kind of comparing yourself unhealthily to the players on the team, or man, I wish I had that, or I wish I could jump that high, or man, that guy's fast, seeing guys that you're training with or already on the team, just kind of that whole mental process. But for me, it's just kind of turning that into, how cool this is to be around such amazing guys and amazing athletes, and how cool it is, man. Like, man, I'm actually talking to the Bills GM, or I'm talking to the, Raiders GM, like how, this is a once in a lifetime thing, and just kind of realizing how cool this experience is, and not being so overwhelmed in the sense of, this daunting journey, and how much pressure, I guess it is, to go get a job or do well.
No, that's a great attitude. It was funny because at the combine, you'll have interviews every 15 minutes, and it can become nerve-wracking because when John Fox was with the Panthers, it was like a comedy fest. Then I went straight to Mangini with the Jets, and he grilled the crap out of me. And it was such an up and down every 15 minutes. It's just part of the process. You talk about, not being overwhelmed and things of that nature. Do you know who Joe Staley is? He was an all-pro left tackle for the 49ers for like a dozen years.
I do, yeah.
So I trained with him at Apex down in Houston. We trained together for the draft. I will never forget, because he came from a MAC school, Western Michigan, Central Michigan, one of those two, and we were going to the Senior Bowl together. He was so freaking nervous because he's like, I'm used to going against MAC guys. Now I'm going against big-time D1 guys, and I'm going against the best of the best, and he was so nervous. Well, a dozen years later, he's could possibly go in the NFL Hall of Fame, so it turned out all right for him. So you'll do great. I got no doubt. A lot of confidence in you. I'm rooting for you, too. Last question I got for you, and I even mentioned, because I've interviewed you a couple times as a player at Nebraska, but I don't ask players during their tenure at Nebraska this question for obvious reasons once you hear it. But is there anything, kind of an untold story or maybe a behind the scenes that you'd be cool with sharing with the fine folks at home that happened during your time at Nebraska?
Yeah, I got a pretty funny story. You had me thinking when you asked me. So we have, I guess was the Bottoms kind of the spot for you guys to go, like 4th of July, you go have parties there or whatever. Was it the Bottoms for you?
I think it was one of them, yeah.
Yeah. But we had this place called Maker Street, and there's this giant shared backyard, and we had, I don't even know, 30 football players living in these houses with this giant shared backyard. And we get the 4th of July off, so we were outside barbecuing, and we're having beers, and everybody's having a good time. Got later in the night, we get a text message from our strength coach, and he goes, 7 a.m. conditioning, 4th of July.
Wow.
And
that's
we're
terrifying.
all sitting there, we're a couple of drinks in, and we're like, oh, man. And so, you have probably, I don't know, the 30 dudes plus a couple other buddies. So he probably had the core, like 60 guys that you really knew on the team and that were playing and contributed. And we were sitting there like, man, like it's probably midnight or 1 o'clock and the fireworks just got done. And we're sitting there looking at the text and we're like, oh man, you wake up, 6 a.m. alarm and heads pounding. And you go in, we go in, change to the workout room. We're just like trotting in there. He's got the prowlers. He's got the sleds lined up with, 3 or 4 plates on them. And we were sitting there like, oh my God, you're kidding me. We line up. He goes, get on the line, get a line up. And we started doing these sled pushes for I don't even know how long. And sooner or later, we have 5 or 6 trash cans at the end of each section that we're going. We have, 4 or 5 guys in each trash can at a time thrown up. And it smells horrendous in there. And we keep pushing these sleds and we're sweating out all the booze. And it was, oh my gosh, it became, comical at a point. It's like your 7th trip to the trash can. You're just laughing at each other and you're making fun of each other. It was hilarious. And kept pushing it. And I like I said, I don't know how long we went, but enough to get it all out. And we finally got done. We just collapsed on the ground, and he was like, hey, you guys must have had a great time last night. All right, go rest up and hydrate. We were all just sitting there. We were soaked in sweat, and we just smelled terrible. We just got done pushing these sleds, and oh my gosh, we were just laughing at each other. And it was looking back on it, it was funny, but during the time, it was miserable. Oh my gosh.
He knew exactly what he was doing too, man. Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yep. Thanks for joining me. Good luck in the draft and in the NFL.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Until next time, Husker Nation, go Big Red. And always remember,
throw the bones.